before we get going here, for you what's going on. This is a special town meeting similar to our budget town meetings. It's a formality to adjourn to referendum. This has to go to referendum to be voted on. It cannot be voted on at a town meeting because it's valid. Anselmo?
If I may, Willie, I'm a stickler for processing, but I'm just wondering, under what section of the charter is this special town meeting to be called?
It's by state statute. When you do a bond issue, it's by state statute. And our charter says specifically, anything above 5% of our tax levy has to automatically go to referendum for vote. It does not go to requirements of the county.
It doesn't talk about a special town meeting. That's my point.
It does talk about a special town meeting. And this is by state statute. When you do bond issues, it's by state statute. That's all. I'm not going to get into an issue with you right now. This is done through bond counsel. Our attorneys advise us what we have to do through this process.
I guess my question is, why call a special town meeting and have 200?
Because the state statute requires. The state statute requires it. I know the state statute requires it. It's a formality.
Our charter says otherwise.
No, not for bond. State statute takes precedence over our charter. Well, I'm sorry. That's fine. There will be no vote. It's an adjournment to town meeting, but this will be an opportunity. We will allow some questions. We will take some comments, keep it very limited. Since there is nothing to vote on tonight, basically a motion to adjourn and move to referendum. I will also advise if you have specific questions in more detail, please. The building committee has a meeting next Tuesday. It'll be the third meeting that they have, a public presentation with the architect there. It's Tuesday, 7 o'clock in Morgan's. Tours of the school will be at 6:15 if you want to go to that. They are very good. There were 60 people there Sunday. There were probably 100 people there at the prior one. They're very good at addressing questions of the public. And I would recommend that you would go to that if you have specific questions tonight. We're not getting into a debate tonight. This is simply to read the call and then adjourn to referendum. We will allow the public comment. Okay? I'd like the town clerk to read the call of the special town meeting.
This is the warning notice of special town meeting and referendum vote in Connecticut. All electors and persons qualified to vote in town meetings of the town of Clinton, Connecticut, quote, the town, are hereby notified that the Board of Selectmen of the town are convening a special town meeting to be held at Andrews Memorial Town Hall, Clinton, Connecticut, on March 28, 2012. The special town meeting will begin at 7 p.m. for the following purpose: to consider and discuss, but not vote upon, 1, an appropriation of $64,750,000 for the new Morton School for the cost of A, the planning, design, and construction of a new high school in the town, approximately 135,000 square feet in size, or so much thereof as may be necessary after deducting grants and other sources of funds available therefore, and the first selectman and the treasurer be authorized to issue and sell temporary notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $64,750,000. In anticipation of the receipt of the proceeds from the sale of such bonds, and to determine the amount, date of maturity, interest rate, form, and other details of such notes and bonds, pursuant to the town charter and chapter 109 of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended, or any other provision of law thereto enabling, and to do all things necessary or appropriate to issue such bonds or notes, and 2, the authorization of the first selectman to acquire such real property for which the appropriation is made above, for submission to the voters of the town who are qualified to vote at town meetings for a yes or no vote by voting machine on the following question: shall the town of Clinton appropriate $64,750,000 for the cost of A, the planning, design, and construction of a new high school in the town of Clinton, known as the town, of approximately 135,000 square feet in size? The vote will be conducted at the Andrews Memorial Town Hall, Clinton, Connecticut, during the hours between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. on April 11th, 2012, signed by Willie Fritz, First Selectman.
All right, thank you, Karen. Motion to approve the call is read.
So moved.
Second on that? All in favor of approving the call is read? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions, motion carries. All right, I'll open up for comments and or questions, discussion, basically.
Willie, since we all know that the current high school is in dire need of repairs, if and when this resolution should be defeated, when can we look forward to repairs beginning on the existing building?
That would be up to the building committee to determine based on if the vote fails, they'll probably convene the next day and go forward with a new plan. Eric? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hello. Okay. I'm not here to talk against the new school, but I'd like to bring a few facts to the public. At the last town meeting that was held in this auditorium back about 6 months ago, I read this quote from the newspaper, Harbor News. The majority of the residents present said they did want to see 2 gyms in the auditorium remain as they are. And my feeling is we should not build on this new land. If you keep the 2 gyms and the auditorium as they are now and build a school adjacent to the gym in the auditorium, you'll probably save about $5 million, I would guess. Not buying the other land, probably another $3 million. You're probably going to save at least $8 million off the top of your head. Now, Guilford is building a new school. They've already changed their plans. They're adding more music rooms and 2 auxiliary gymnasiums. This gymnasium that has been recommended here by this company that's making this constructional plan calls for a gymnasium that's probably fit for an elementary school, not for a high school. 2 small courts with 1 center court with netting in between them is not sufficient for this town, not for the school. It does not fit the town needs. Now, I've run a basketball program for the Park and Rec for over 25 years. Did not receive a penny for it. Every Saturday I worked there from 9 to 4. Every Saturday from November to April. And I know what the needs of this town are as far as the gymnasiums are concerned. And this building that is recommended now is not needed. Thank you.
By the way, the gymnasium is just under the square footage of the existing 2 gyms combined. It has a mechanical wall in it, and it's much bigger than elementary school. Phil.
Yeah, Phil Segal. Actually, just a process question. The town meeting is the supreme authority in Clinton. It's our legislative body, and I don't understand why we shouldn't have to vote here to send us a referendum. I don't understand why that's
Automatically goes to referendum. Any expenditure of the town that is more than 5, and some of them, we're done. Any expenditure of the town that is more than 5% of the tax levy automatically goes to referendum. Sit down, we're done. I'm not going to discuss it. Same statute, section 109, state statute, section 109 also says that's to go to town meeting and go to referendum. That's it. Next.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. You hear me? My name is Bruce Farmer. I've been a resident of this town since 1983, and my daughter graduated from West. There has been a great deal of discussion for and against the new high school, which I believe is a healthy process to go through. I know a lot of you have been very frustrated by that, but it's part of the process. Since I have retired from the business community, I have taken the time to read all of the data that is available. And I mean all of the data that taxpayers have the right to see a side-by-side comparison analysis for the specific line item cost to build a new school and the same line item cost to upgrade or renovate the existing building. Further, the cost analysis should include alternative approaches to both projects. This is really not a difficult task, though it seems that it is here in Clinton. It is done in the business community to make decisions every day. The town of Clinton is not a business. It is a group of folks who live, work, and play here, and we all care about each other in our town. If the town was a business, and the taxpayers were the buyers of a new building, in this case, it's a new high school, the buyers need specifics, not lump sum figures. Therefore, tonight, I plead with the town to come up with an analysis, and I ask that the Board of Finance, the Board of Selectmen, and the new Northern Building Committee commit to provide the taxpayers with a cost comparison analysis and provide that analysis to the taxpayers prior to the referendum on April 11th. Thank you.
Better? Okay, thank you. Thanks. My name is Alicia Sturgis. I've been a resident 31 years and have 3 children come up through the district. And I think I'm in a unique position to address you and share some insight to those of you who are still maybe on the fence about the need to build new and are still thinking in terms of remodeling. I happen to work presently at a high school, a public high school, where the taxpayers made just such a decision. They opted to remodel rather than build new. So I'd like to give you a glimpse into what it's like to conduct normal high school business while a remodel is taking place. So if you'll bear with me, I have a list and I'm going to refer to my list. And also I have a little disclaimer at the beginning. As Clinton voters prepare to go to the polls, it might be helpful to share my experiences in a district where taxpayers voted to remodel their high school rather than build new. By the way, I was told that the difference in the price tag was $5 million. And I've since learned that already $1 million has been spent on portable classrooms, and those will eventually be trashed. So $1 million of that has now gone to these throwaways. I feel I must start out by saying that the administrators there inherited this decision and were not at the helm when this decision was made. I also must give so much credit to all the teachers, the staff, and the students who are making the best of this reality and continuing to teach and learn in spite of the conditions. Everyone there has been reminded of the importance of being flexible and keeping your sense of humor. And now I'll try to describe daily life during the renovations. If you'll imagine the sounds, the drilling, banging, blasting, and beeping of alarm systems and trucks. Also related to that, when the sound got too overwhelming, it was not academically acceptable to have that background noise during quizzes, tests, exams, CAPT testing, and AP testing. So that necessitated the work crew to shut down and postpone that until after school dismissed, which is further delaying the project. I'd like you to imagine the smells of sheetrock and concrete dust and welders' torches. Also, there's been a change in the water quality, and they needed to purchase bottled water. There are extreme heat and cold temperature fluctuations, and you have to choose between fresh air and breezes or dust and noise. There's been an interruption many times of internet, telephone, paging, and bell systems. The emergency evacuations have delayed opening, they've forced early closures, and actually a cancellation due to false alarms or non-functioning alarm systems. The constant rerouting of emergency exit plans and travel to and from classes as stairways are closed, doorways eliminated, bathrooms ripped out, and class locations changed. The faculty are working from carts, many of them, and lab courses have had to be taught in portables that do not have labs, including AP classes. The majority of the library collection is in storage. The interior halls are dimly lit by contractor work lights. There's the challenge of providing PE program without a gym or locker rooms. There was an impact on the middle school, as both middle and high school indoor sports had to be played at the middle school gym. The band, chorus, and theater productions had to find temporary venues. They lost their nearby playing fields because they were now needed as staging areas and are now filled with construction trailers, contractor vehicles, cranes, pipes, gravel, cement, and other stockpiles. There was a huge expense, as I mentioned, at least $1 million, to create a space for the installation, first to create the space for the installation of the portable classrooms, which also had to be made handicap accessible by covered ramps, have bathrooms, internet, PA, and alarm connections. These portables do not stand up to use by high school-sized students and will ultimately be trashed. There have been delays in the project due to weather, due to deliveries gone missing, or products not as expected, and architect design issues. There have been surprises, such as the discovery that the original wiring system was mislabeled, which led to unintended power loss. There was loss of parking spaces for student parking. Most of it was eliminated, and that created a furor because students needed vehicles to go to their after-school jobs. And the faculty were even urged to consider carpooling. And the cafeteria program was shut down because they had to convert the existing cafeteria to temporary classroom space. So they were not able to offer a hot lunch program. They did, however, fashion cold sandwiches and salads in one of the other schools in the district and truck them to the school. And even though now they have the new state-of-the-art cafeteria, because so many students have now gotten into the habit of bringing lunch or eliminated lunch, that the revenues are way off in their cafeteria program. And it is a self-sustaining program, so they're fearful that it's now going to be running in the red. And finally, it's to be expected that a remodeling project of this complexity will take longer and cost more than originally planned. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Len Freed, and for the past 4 months, I've been chairing the Morgan School Task Force under the auspices of the Flint Tax Association. And as many of you know, the Flint Tax Association has come up strongly recommending a no vote for the referendum. What you may not know is that myself and many of the members of the task force believe that a new Clinton school, a new Morgan School, would be good for Clinton. The school is undeniably 60 years old. Some areas need repair, and much of it is dated. We disagree with some of the other reasons that have been given for building a new school. For instance, it is said that if the referendum doesn't pass, that tens of millions of dollars will have to be spent in the next couple of years on a new school. Well, there's no money in the budget for that, number one. Number two is it's been clearly said that if the referendum does pass, that a new roof will not be put on the building. So it's clear that there is no, while money should be spent or may be spent, there's clearly no urgency. Because if that referendum passes, the school is pretty much going to stay the way it is for the next 3 to 4 years. The other thing I disagree with, it said that this is our best chance for economic development. That maybe we can sell the property for $5 million and get $500,000 a year in tax revenue. This is a long shot that we can't bank on. And plus, if I was going to spend money on economic development, I wouldn't spend $65 million this way. Another thing I disagree with is that the new school will attract new families into Clinton. If I'm a parent coming from out of state and and don't know anything about Clinton, I'll look at test scores, I'll look at college acceptances, I'll look at what kind of colleges kids are getting into, maybe crime in the school, and touring, and by the way, if all those are good, I don't give a damn what the school looks like. And certainly touring the school is going to be down my list. And then I've heard other reasons, such as dangerous traffic problems, health problems, threat of loss of accreditation. These are not compelling. But as I said in the beginning, even discounting this hype, a new school is certainly undeniably attractive. Why we reject this proposal is that it's simply not affordable. In 2012, Clinton has the highest tax rate on the shoreline and the second highest cost per student on the shoreline. Now, I know 2011-12 was affected by revaluation the year before, which decreased the grand list and caused the mill rate to go back. So if you look at the previous year, 2010, we were second highest on the shoreline, and our cost per student was the highest on the shoreline. If you project in the future a 2.5% increase in the budget every year, and we've been averaging about 3.7% for the last 5 years, but if you say when we get tighter, 2.5% for the next 5 years, and then in 2016 we increased a bump of about 2 mils for the new school, the mill rate will be over 31 mils, up 26% in 5 years. About a third of that's due to school, and about 2/3 of that is due to the normal increase in budgets. Mill rates this high will further discourage families from moving into Clinton and business moving into Clinton. That will further decrease the grand list, which will increase the mill rate, and you get into a debt cycle. The best example I could give is you have a family, they have an old house, it's in the 50s, it's dated, it needs repair, they go to a financial advisor, and he tells them they can't afford it. Not that it wouldn't be a good thing, they just can't afford it. And they say, yeah, but if 3 years from now it will be more expensive? Probably, it doesn't matter, you can't afford it. I personally love living in Clinton. I spend 6 months a year, I spend 20 hours a week volunteering to try to make it a better place. But given no alternatives but spending $65 million for a new school or $60 million for a renovation, which is even worse, I see no choice but to vote no. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dan Brevis. I moved here with my family about 6 years ago. We moved here because we wanted a more suburban lifestyle, a more suburban educational experience for our kids. If this referendum doesn't pass, we're leaving Clinton. And you can say, oh, big deal, who cares, adios, city boy. But I would argue that our situation is a microcosm of a much larger issue, a much larger problem that Clinton has. And if this doesn't pass, that problem's going to get exponentially bigger. Clinton has a perception problem. Everyone outside of Clinton, a lot of people in Clinton believe that we have no ability, we're indifferent to education, we have no capability to invest in our future. We can only think 12 months at a time. No vote that anyone in this room can take has more power to change that perception and change the trajectory of this town for the better. Please, I'm asking you to vote yes. I'm asking you to vote yes in a big way. Not just because I don't want to move, but because a lot of families don't want to move. And I think Mr. Freed's analogy is perfect. We did consult a financial advisor. We formed a committee. They studied it for 2.5 years. All of this information is online. It's on multiple websites, down to the finest detail. Look at it yourself, and please make the decision to vote yes. It'll be the best thing this town ever did. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pam Fritz. I'm speaking this evening as president of the Clinton Taxpayers Association. I want you to know, and I know that Mr. Freed mentioned it, but I want you to know that the Clinton Task Force of the Clinton Taxpayers Association for the New Morgan School spent many, many hours going over everything and found many, many, many holes in a lot of the data that's been provided. We had to force to go for freedom of information in order to get the data that we wanted, and there are still many, many unanswered questions on this project. And I was going to stand here tonight and give you some of our information, but I thought about it, and I really want to talk to you more specifically about the Taxpayers Association, which is made up of over 200, and we're probably about 250 at this point, and growing rapidly. So we represent a lot of people in Clinton who are taxpayers. And we know that many people have said every time a referendum comes up or something comes up on an expenditure that the Clinton Taxpayers Association is out there with the no vote. Well, we have very good reasons for asking you to do a no vote. First of all, I'm sorry, but the building committee has not done its due diligence. There are many gaps, many holes that could add additional expenses, additional serious expenses to this project. And you can go to our website and see all of this data in detail. Our website is gocta.org. But I want to talk to you about something else. The enrollment decline is a very real thing. The projected enrollment decline that's going to happen at Morgan and in our school system is a very real thing. And another thing that's a very real thing to our taxpayers is the fact that we're still in a recession. Many of us are feeling that we're still in a recession. We have seniors in this town. Many of the seniors in this town feel that they are not really being listened to. It's just pay their taxes, and then that's just pay their taxes. There are many people who are unemployed. There are foreclosures. We have all the statistics. Foreclosures are up. Houses are not selling. People are moving out of Clinton. I spoke to a young couple recently from Durham who was going to move to the shoreline. And they came down to look at the shoreline, and they looked at Clinton, and the reason they're not going to move to Clinton has nothing to do with the school system, although they were interested in knowing about test scores and things of that such. But what they really looked at was the downtown of Clinton, which has tons and tons of there's no businesses in downtown Clinton. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the Morgan property that we're going to demolish, and we're going to put something up there, like maybe a big box Home Depot, so that we can also drive all of our local Ace and Cashmans out of business. We're going to drive every single small business out of this town. And that's what we're going to do. That seems to be headed toward. And that's the feedback I'm getting from the members of the Taxpayers Association. Gasoline prices are high. Food prices are high. This is not the time to spend the money to build this school. This is not the time. Perhaps in the future, but this is not the time. Long after our officials who are elected in this town, or the people who are pushing this school, long after they're gone, you and you and you and you are going to have to pay the burden of this huge taxes that we're going to be increased. 26% increase in taxes. Plus, don't forget, we have to do something about wastewater. Don't just push that aside. We are mandated to do something about wastewater. All of these expenses are coming on our plate. And so what really, really got me was when I read in the paper that one of our selectmen said, and I won't name that person, but that person said, Clinton can't afford it. I don't want somebody telling me what I can afford. Do you want somebody telling you what you can afford? Do you want our town government telling you what you can afford? You know what you can afford, and you know what you can't afford. And a great deal of people in this town cannot afford this school. There's a few people that I feel, a handful of people, who very selfishly want this school and want to put this on the backs of the Taxpayers Association. So I urge you tonight to vote no on April 11th, and thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do a couple more. Elected officials pay taxes too, by the way. Just want to let you know. We're going to make a lot less money than most of you people. Just come here, Nathan.
I wasn't going to speak tonight because sometimes I like to, sometimes I don't. But Pam got me a little fired up. I'm a taxpayer. My husband's a taxpayer. We are also senior citizens. Hate to mention that, but I went through all the Clinton schools. When I went to school, and I wrote this in a letter, the likes of Anna Hesser, and Ellis Buell, and Tony Bloom, Russ Gard, Dan Beese, they were seniors. They had grandchildren. Their kids weren't in school. Their grandchildren might have been, but they paid for me to go to school. I have 4 brothers and a sister. 6 of us went through all of Morgan Clinton schools. Tom has 7 brothers and sisters that all went through the Morgan School. My family home was worth probably $15,000, so you know my parents didn't pay a lot of taxes. Tom at the time, his parents rented, so they didn't pay any taxes. Somebody paid for me to go to school, and my brothers and sisters, and it was seniors, a lot of seniors. Now, I know everybody's having a hard time, but it's like Harriet said, don't tell me I can't afford it, because to me, there's nothing more important in this town for our future or the world's future than our children. Nothing.
Okay.
Excuse me?
Stop. We're not having a debate. We're not having a debate. Okay. All right, we'll do 2 more.
Someone in the back.
I'll let you say Mr. Carr, so you already got Mr. Carr coming up.
Thank you very much. My name is Kurt Carr. I had the pleasure of being in the Morgan Building Committee when they announced the $64.7 million. There was a gasp in the room. I don't think anybody expected that number. To the credit of 2 of the members of that committee who voted against going forward with it, David Townsend and Dennis Donovan, both thought this didn't make a lot of sense. But there's a certain amount of groupthink once you spend 2 years doing something like this. It's sort of hard to turn around and change your mind. The result of this is that the cost of the new Morgan School went up 30%. That triggered a reduction in how much the state will reimburse. And so the cost of taxpayers supposedly went up 59% to $45 million. Now there's nothing in this resolution that you're going to vote for on April 11th that says that we're only going to spend $45 million. That's another one of those myths that the Morgan Committee wants you to believe. It may be $45 million, it could be $50 million, it could be more. Then when you add on top of that $19 million or more in interest payments, it's going to take you 20 years, $3 million a year added to the expense of doing business as a community. What's going to happen as a result of that is that taxpayers are going to be in revolt. For the next 20 years, you're going to see one referendum after another defeated. And the people who are the biggest proponents of this, and who I think have great intent, I think they mean well by it, are the ones who are going to be hurt the most. And that is why I urge you to vote no on April 11th.
One more, and then let's take the entertainment motion. Come on.
Exciting to get the last word. My name is David Russo. I speak as a person who was born and raised in Clinton. With the exception of a few years during and after college, I've lived every day of my life in Clinton. I attended the Morgan School, received a great education, and now I'm a high school science teacher. While training to become a teacher, I did my student teaching in Morgan. It was great to be back roaming the same halls, working in the same classrooms, finding my old locker. I actually found enjoyment in that until I stepped back and realized that it was exactly the same as when I had left. 15 years had passed, and one of the only differences, and I'm not exaggerating this, one of the only differences was a widescreen television in the lobby telling me what letter day it was. The feeling of nostalgia quickly passed. Now, I have a son who someday will attend the Morgan School. I don't want him to attend the same school I did. I want better for him, as I would hope you do for your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, friends, and neighbors. I want him to be educated in a state-of-the-art facility with state-of-the-art technology, not the old, outdated, inefficient, and technology-deficient building we have today. I realize the price tag is high, but how can we put a price on the value of educating our youth when it is education that will be one of the driving forces behind helping to move this country forward? I would rather invest, and I do think of it as an investment, I would rather invest some of my money into a new facility that can help foster that education, rather than waste my money patching up a building that can only hinder it. Having lived approximately 11,000 days of my life in this town, I truly consider it to be my town. And in that period of time, I don't remember the last time the town voted to do something for itself for which I or we could feel proud. Now is an opportunity for us to do something that can help to regain the sense of pride that this town has been lacking for too long. Now is an opportunity to put Clinton back on the map as a town in which people want to raise and educate their children. Now is the time for a new Morgan school.
Is doing another presentation Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, Morgan Cafeteria. Tours will begin at 6:15 if anybody's interested. They have answers to a lot of things I've heard tonight that were brought up that maybe people aren't clear on. They have those answers. I've heard them many times. And they can clear up a lot of the misinformation that may be out there. I encourage you to attend and ask questions. Make comments if you need to, but they really have a lot of information that it's too much for me to try to put out here tonight. And I appreciate comments from everybody, both sides. I think they're well taken and respected. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the referendum. Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Motion carried.